Mike, can you start the live stream?
Yeah, the live stream just started.
Okay. And the agenda, read and approve agenda. Has everybody looked at the agenda? Is
Yes.
there any opposed to the agenda as it is right now? Are there any modifications needed? Please raise your hand if you need to have anything modified in the agenda.
Vacancy committee report. Or that's interesting.
My speakers. Okay, go ahead, talk about the vacancy committee meeting.
Well,
The
we didn't have
vacancy
a
committee
meeting.
report needs to be added to the agenda.
Well, yeah, because I would like to get these 4 vacancy nominees approved so that we can go ahead and send them the stuff and get them going.
Okay, let's add that to the agenda. Where should that go? Under unfinished business?
Yeah, I guess. Somewhere.
All right, we'll put it under unfinished business. All right. Okay, next thing on the agenda.
I'm not hearing you come through. I'm not hearing you come through for Zoom.
If
on your
you and John are next to each other, only have one of you on the mic. Otherwise, you'll get the echo.
Can you turn off the mic for a second? Can everybody hear me? And does that work?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Back to the agenda. Introduce guests, 3 minutes each, total 20 minutes for public comment. And do we have any guests present? Is there something Ms. Pogue wanted to say? No. Thank you. Any other guests?
I'm Wes Pinshot. I'm not a board member. Is that what you mean by guest?
Yes.
Am I the only one, or did I catch another one?
I don't know who else is on here that would be a guest. Who wants
Okay.
to introduce themselves or say anything. Sean McCormick.
Yeah, I'm here, but not for comments. I'm just observing.
Okay. Kevin Gilbranson.
Hi, darling. I'm just here to watch. This is the most exciting thing on television at the moment.
Awesome. Okay, I guess there's no other guests. We will continue with the agenda and go to the affiliates reports. Do we have anyone here from Arapahoe County?
Madam Chair, Eric Mulder.
Yes, go right ahead.
All right. So I'm Eric Mulder. I wear two hats, Vice Chair and Arapahoe County Chair, for those who are not aware. Libertarian Party of Arapahoe County will be meeting tomorrow at Kevin and Michelle's place at 6:30 p.m. Food will be catered by Rancho Alegre Mexican Restaurant. They'll be cooking it up and I'll be bringing it over. We'll be having a fantastic guest speaker in the form of our County Party Vice Chair, Kat Martin. She will be talking about how the Rhode Island Department of Corrections is addressing addiction within their facilities. So if you're not able to make it, we understand. But if you are able to make it, we do ask that if you're not feeling too good, stay home. But if you're feeling good and you're feeling ready to hang out with some libertarians, come right on over. That's all I got for that.
Awesome. Boulder? Denver? El Paso?
Yes. You may recall there was a St. Patty's Day parade that we were signed up for in El Paso. And it didn't happen, and it got not happening like a day before it was supposed to happen. And we were hoping to get, El Paso was hoping to get their money back. It didn't happen because it didn't get canceled, it got rescheduled.
Oh,
So we are signed up for September 13th, which is kind of a dumb time to have a St. Patty's Day parade, because you aren't going to be able to go to Dollar General or whatever and get all the green stuff to decorate the float. But Victoria, or Tori and I are going to go to O'Donnell's office, the sponsors, and see if we can get our subscription or whatever you call it, rescheduled to March 2021. But I'm not holding out much for it. Kind of getting the bird. We've been able to have in-person board and member meetings the past 2 months, which was kind of good. One of them was at Kieran's Cafe in Calhoun. And I especially liked that because all the wait staff were open carrying. I thought that was way cool. And then the last couple of board meetings we had at Union Station, which is a bar and grill a couple of blocks from where I live. That was handy for me. That's all I've got.
very well. Douglas?
Hi, I live in Denver County. I'm not the chair. This is Wes Pinshot. If Douglas isn't going to speak, may I speak for a moment?
Go right ahead.
Okay, well, in my neighborhood, there is a locally organized Black Lives Matter march, or in support of the people downtown. It meets tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. at the corner of Oneida, that's Oneida, and Peach, like the tree, which is at Southmore Park. And we're going to march along the neighborhood streets about 1.5 miles to Rosamond Park and have a moment of silence there. The organizers ask that if you're coming, in order to avoid clogging the neighborhood near our starting point, please park a few blocks away.
Thank you very much. Anyone from Douglas County? Jefferson?
Yeah, we had our meeting last month at Clemens Park.
Hey, we can't hear Ross.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Out speakers are.
Okay, our next meeting is on June 18th. It'll be at a regular location, which is Colorado Lanes in Lakewood. And it should be really good time. We'll be talking about some of the hypocrisy we're seeing from both of the two old parties in the campaign. And we'll be talking about everybody's campaign so far, and Jeffco as well. So it should be a really good time. And that's not this week, but the week after on Thursday. So Thursday, the 18th. And it'll be nice to get back to our regular location after several months.
Pueblo? In Otero County?
John's there.
Can you hear me?
Mr. Pickrell?
Can you hear me? Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, we got our speakers off, so yes, we can hear you.
Pueblo is hoping to have their next in-person meeting after taking a hiatus since February on Tuesday, the 16th of June, but I still have to verify with the venue. It's been touch and go. The good news is that we do have a core group who are kind of on fire for overturning the Pueblo West Metro District Board. That's their issue of passion. So I'm trying to fuel that, and they're already making plans for 2 years from now. If you remember from my last report, we had 3 people who attend our meetings who were running for those 2 board positions. Though they didn't win, they're making plans for 2 years from now, so that's good. And I think you saw that the Pueblo Chili and Frijoles Festival is still on. I sent a note to the board about that. That will be in September. Hopefully nothing changes with that. That's a great festival. That's all I have.
That's the next one. I don't have any more. We did that last week. Yes, Mr. Church.
Question for John. That the Chili Festival would be September 13th.
I don't remember the exact dates. I thought it was a week later, but I could be wrong.
We already said.
I didn't catch it all.
What was the date? For the Chili Festival?
I don't have it right in front of me. While you're going on with the agenda, then I'll look it up and I'll put it in chat. Okay.
Unmute. Do we have any other affiliates here? I think now we will go to LNC report. I think I saw Ms. Harlow's on the call. Karen Ann? Karen Ann?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, I just figured if anyone had any questions, I'd ask them. Things are way too complicated to summarize in 2 minutes, and it may summarize something that people aren't interested in. So if anyone has any questions, I'm available here or otherwise.
Now, the LNC meeting in Orlando, that is finalized and everything's been signed and everything for Shingle Creek and.
Yes. And the room blocks are filling up. So I would really, if people are planning on staying on site, get the reservations early so you don't miss out.
All right, well, you heard the LNC secretary, get your reservations early for the rooms at Shingle Creek. The contract has been finalized and the rooms are filling up. Thank you, Karen Ann.
Welcome.
Now we are going to read and approve the minutes from last month. Has everyone read the meetings from last month? And is there anything that they don't agree? Does everyone agree with what's on the minutes from last month is correct? And can we approve them? Anyone opposed? Without oppositions, the minutes are approved. Officer reports. I have nothing to add to my report. Vice Chair?
Hello, Madam Chair and everyone else. I just have two things to add to my report real quick. The first one was I attended the Blackout 2020 in Aurora in support of justice for Elijah McClain, who was killed by the Aurora Police Department while wearing a mask in public. And it should be noted that the Aurora City Council was very involved in making sure that the Aurora Police Department had a demilitarized approach and demilitarized presence during the event, and the entire thing went very peacefully and it went very well. The second thing I would like to add to my report is that if any of our RTD candidates are having issues with their petitioning, getting their petitions printed, or need some clarification, they can go ahead and reach out to me and I'll be able to answer those questions for them. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Fundraising, Alexander Hutton. You're going to have to unmute yourself.
I would like to add one thing to my report. I did get a chance to have a chat with Matthew this evening before the call started about the three campaigns that are on the top of his priority list for this this session so far in terms of winnability and the races themselves. 2 county commission races, 1 House district race up in Greeley. And just kind of got his initial thoughts on what he would like to do with those campaigns, and now I kind of have a roadmap of what I need to work on to help him out in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Hutton. Treasurer, I totally skipped you.
Nothing to add.
Campaigns? Campaigns. Mr. DG, have you joined us?
Madam Chairman, I received a communication from Matt just a moment ago that says there's bad weather in his area and his internet pooped out.
Who's speaking?
Kevin Gilbranson, ma'am.
Thank you, Kevin. Let's continue. Outreach is now vacant. We need to add a vacancy to the website requesting for a new outreach director. I spoke with Lexi. She won't be coming back anytime soon, and it makes no sense to have an outreach director in Mexico. So we have a vacancy for outreach. Affiliates, Stephen?
Nothing to add.
Legislative, Michael? Is Michael Stapleton unmute? Michael Stapleton? You need to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here. I've been following along the Senate Bill 20-2-17, the Law Enforcement Integrity Act. One that initially had some good ideas. It passed on second reading today. However, there was an amendment, a dozen amendments that were passed today on the floor. I've been going through the amendments. One of them, interesting enough, where everybody was so hopeful that we would get to see an end to qualified immunity. That in this bill is not going to happen. They passed an amendment today that if the peace officer's employer determines that the officer was not at fault, then he is not liable for any type of civil action to be filed for him. So that pretty much ends any hope for ending qualified immunity with this piece of legislation. Other than that, this piece of legislation, while it has some good things, ending chokeholds and stuff like that, it is really, really not what we could have hoped for. One, it's got a very high initial fiscal note and a very high annual fiscal note after that. And then with the mandatory police body cams at all times, it does not provide for any victim privacy protection or rights as well. So if you're a victim of domestic violence or a victim of rape or any type of sexual assault, that video will be taken by the police officer and that video can become public. So there's not much that we can do. This bill will likely make it through both chambers. I haven't seen if it's up for third reading tomorrow, and there's still quite a few amendments to go through and read to see what all they've changed in it. And I'm sure that there will be more amendments added as it goes to the House. The other one, Senate Bill 20-213, which extends the governor's executive order for alcoholic beverage with to-go food orders and alcoholic beverage delivery services, extending through July of 2022. That one was added to a consent agenda, so it will likely be voted on tomorrow on second reading, just as a consent without debate. And that's all I had, unless anybody has any questions.
Mr. Gershman has a question.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Gershman.
I don't understand what he said about the July 2022 extension.
So Senate Bill 20-213, under the current governor's executive orders for stay at home and safer at home, it was a provision that allowed alcoholic beverages to be ordered with to-go foods. You could pick up a margarita, take it home to go. You could also, some of the breweries are doing home delivery with some of their beer and stuff. This piece of legislation extends that through 2022. It would come up for, basically what it does is it would come up for a sunset review in 2022.
Membership?
Nothing to add.
Communications?
Yes, I just want to thank the board for making me communications director.
Thank you for volunteering. We really appreciate you. Secretary?
Nothing to add.
Standing committee reports. Technology? Database?
Yes. I found out last week that the Joe Jorgensen campaign will be adding any contacts from Colorado they get on their website directly into our database. I don't know the details on that. I will hopefully find those out this Wednesday. That's all I have.
Then we have Welcome Committee. Campaigns committee, I guess this is where this should have been added, the vacancy committee report. John, would you present it, or is Matt who's gonna do this?
Okay. All I really have, like I said, there. But
My microphone down. You could just unmute yours.
okay, I don't have really anything special to report because I'm not the campaigns director, but I am on the vacancy, whatever it is we are. We're not a committee, I forget what we are. But we have 4 replacements, and I would like to get them approved by the board, which is the default vacancy committee, in my understanding. And they are, where are they?
Right here.
Oh, here they are. They are for El Paso County Commissioner District 2, Robert Berg to replace Logan Knabb. For House District 19, Larry Knopp to replace Amy Lund. For Senate District 10, Heather Johnson to replace Aaron DeVandry. And for Congressional District 5, Edward Duffett to replace Doug Lund. And I move to have the board approve these replacements, if that's appropriate.
There is a motion to replace, to fill the vacancies with these 4 replacements. Is there a second?
Second.
I object, but only
Are
to
there
one.
any opposed or any discussion regarding this motion?
Yes, simple discussion. I think there's the
I have
gentleman.
not given you the floor, Mr. D.
My
Please
apologies.
wait. Is there any opposed to having these people represent the vacancies?
Yes,
All right, who spoke?
campaigns.
All right, go ahead, Mr. DG.
The only one I would oppose would be the El Paso County Commissioner. Because I believe that falls under the guise of the El Paso County affiliate.
It does not, because it was, they were elected during the state assembly, because El Paso County had already had their annual meeting months before.
Okie dokie, retracted.
Thank you. Is there any other opposed or any further discussion regarding these vacancies? Without opposition, the motion is unanimous. I will sign this paperwork for you today. Mr. Pickerel, would you speak on the new business that you have?
Yes, I move that we allocate $150 per quarter to the newsletter committee for publishing the quarterly newsletter. And that would be via MailChimp. And if there's a second to this motion, I'll present my case.
There is a motion and it has been seconded. Go ahead and
Okay.
your motion, Mr. Pickerel.
Okay, thank you. If any of you were following the email thread on this, there were several back and forths on, hey, should we just since we don't have the funds to do a physical hard mail newsletter, the options for doing an electronic version. And if you look in the agenda, you'll see the 3 options that really the back and forth on the email chain boiled down to. The first would be publish a newsletter by email using MailChimp. This would require disadvantages. We have to take the contacts and put them into MailChimp. The advantage is, from what I understand, the formatting is much more robust and much better chance of people actually opening up and reading the newsletter. Option 2 lower cost option would be posting the newsletter by posting the PDF to LPedia and then sending out a link to all our contacts saying, hey, the newsletter is here. Just click on this link. And the third would be emailing the PDF version of the newsletter itself. So the back and forth on the email chain was, okay, for options 2 and 3, yeah, you can do that, but history has shown, experience has shown that people just don't open the newsletter very often, and so it becomes kind of a waste of time. And we need to have something that's more presentable to make it worth the effort of putting together a newsletter. So that's the argument for spending the extra money for a MailChimp account. The MailChimp, the way it operates is the more contacts you have, the more people you want to email it to, the more it costs. And what I understand, based on some input from David, from Karen Ann, from Alan, that it comes out to about $150 a quarter.
I have a question, Mr. Pickerel. You said that there was not funds to do an actual newsletter physical. That newsletter seems to be our biggest fundraising method, in sending out a newsletter for $1 a piece to our donors as a thank you when they're donating $25 and we're spending $4 a year to send out a newsletter. Wouldn't that make more sense?
Oh, absolutely. You're not going to get any argument from me.
Mr. Hirschman.
If you have the ordinary donate.
John, I can't hear you.
Hang on.
Okay. Where was I?
When you have the donate page on the PDF, I would
Yeah,
not donate off of a PDF, but
you
I do
wouldn't.
donate off of a thank you note, handwritten.
Well, my point was that the last page of the newsletter generally was a donate page. And if a person wanted to, they could print that. And I just don't see where. I'd go for option 2.
I personally believe that having a physical thank you note of something tangible in my hand will cause, donations to go up like they did. We have the proof that they did go up because of the physical hand held thing. I don't open emails. I get 200-300 emails an hour. There's no way I'm looking at it. Yeah. So that's why I'm asking why not do. You could do the MailChimp for everybody that's a member, 6,000 of them, but I think that people who donate should be getting something tangible as well. It doesn't go to everybody, it just goes to tangible people. And that's a cost of, Michelle, what does the last newsletter cost to publish?
We mailed to 2,500 people, I believe, and with the printing and everything, it was, I want to say it was just over $1,000.
So it's less than $1 a piece.
Yeah. Everything included, it I think it's about 75 cents a newsletter that gets mailed out. Which quarterly, you would think people that are actually donating money should get something. So your donors list isn't the 2,500 sent to, so you could do a lot less.
So 1,000 people that donate 75
I think
cents would be like $1,000.
I want to say that's around 800 on the donate, the regular donors list. But isn't it?
It's not that many.
Not that many. Okay. I know we started with that, and then we kept adding, trying to get more people to donate because we wanted people that weren't donating to get something so they would start donating.
Well, we have a lot of past donors. I wasn't counting those.
Yeah. And then we added the people that were members of National and things like that. So it got a lot larger. And the group of people that Betty Rose, Ryan, and Joe Johnson were mailing to, that was 1,000 people that we added, which is why it was so expensive the last time. We wouldn't be mailing 10, you'd be doing about 1,000.
At 75 cents
Yeah.
each.
Like $800. $800 to do that.
Did you hear all of that, Mr. Pickrell?
Yes. Hey, Michelle, did that cost also include?
Did you hear all of that, Mr. Pickerel?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hang on. Okay. This technology sucks. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I heard that. My question for Michelle is, I can't remember, did that 800 include postage as well as printing, or was that just printing?
I believe that was everything, all in.
All in $800.
Okay.
The postage was extra because we were advertising the convention. So it was a 12-page newsletter and it took 70 cents to mail. Normally it would only be 55. So I think you can do all in.
Okay. Well, as far as I, as membership director, I would love it if the board allocated the money to do a printed newsletter. I was under the impression over the last few board meetings that we simply didn't have the money to do that. If I'm wrong on that, then I can amend my motion.
Do we have the money, John?
We do, and I'd like to add that usually when there's interest in the newsletter brought up, we get earmarked donations to help with it, usually.
Did you hear that, John? That we do have the funds and we usually on top of that get earmarked donations towards the newsletter, usually.
Especially if we ask.
Especially if we ask.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to amend my motion as follows. I would request $900 to do a mailed newsletter for the most recent quarter.
And 150 for the MailChimp?
Yes, good point. So it would be a total of, let's say, $1,000 for both. Michelle, do you think that would cover both?
Yeah.
So up to $1,000 for both.
Yes, and obviously we'd only spend the actual charge.
Right. Is there there is an amendment on the motion to spend up to $1,000 on both a printed newsletter and the MailChimp account. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Are there any opposed to this motion? There is an opposition. Okay, I am going to call roll and take the vote by roll call. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Treasurer?
No.
Fundraiser?
Yes.
Campaign?
Yes.
Affiliate?
No.
Legislative? Legislative?
Yes.
Keeping count. Member. Communications.
Yes.
Secretary.
Yes.
The yeses have it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? I don't see any other new business. Is there anything else that we need to be discussing?
Jump into this Libertarian Party, huh?
How are you, Andy?
Am I allowed to listen?
Come on in.
All right. What's going on in the LP?
We are just wrapping up our board
You can hang
meeting.
in. Can I hug you?
Absolutely.
Love you guys. Go ahead, Libertarians.
Thank you.
Oh,
I got to get you some elected. That's it.
Well, I am looking for donations for my campaign. I am running on a very winnable campaign. We'll talk later. There's a few others that are running winnable campaigns, like 3 of them. County commissioner
Here,
in Douglas County.
I'm on the RTD district.
He's an RTD.
I don't know if I've got a map here showing boundaries.
we're just talking about RTD.
All right. Was there any other new business?
I'm just curious, is there anyone announced to be president, candidate for the local?
Jo Jorgensen, she has won the nomination for president for 2020.
Okay.
She is, and Spike Cohen is for vice president. She has a PhD and is a lecturer at university. She's also pretty well put together.
Where's she at?
She is in North Carolina or South Carolina?
One of them.
South Carolina.
So it's on the Libertarian Party website?
Yes, it's on the Libertarian Party website. And we have 60 local candidates for state and local races in Colorado this year. So we are doing really, really well.
All the time for his ass to step in.
And now we can get, people to get all those candidates to do your Liberty Day.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, I've got a couple I'm working with the charter schools and with the Federalist Society. Federalist Society is doing an email to 1,000 plus attorneys. I'm working with a whole bunch of people. I don't know what's going to happen with the schools though come August. They don't know what's going to happen. Everything we've done through Zoom meetings. That's all I've been doing every day. Zoom meeting.
Thank you, Andy. Matt had his hand up. Mr. DiGianardo.
No longer relevant.
Okay. Well, I think we have no other new business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.
Woohoo!
Hey, Kevin, are you still hanging on to the call?
Who's talking?
Alexander Hutton fundraising.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.